What's holding you back? Hey there. Have you ever stopped to wonder, what's really standing between you and the life you want? I mean, think about it for a second. We all have these dreams, right? Maybe it's living with a deep sense of purpose, feeling truly fulfilled, or even leaving a mark on the world that says, I was here and I made a difference. But here's the thing, and lean in close, because this might just hit home. Sometimes, it's not about what you do, it's about what you don't do. What if I told you that the secret to unlocking a richer, more meaningful life lies in dodging certain traps? Traps that even the smartest, most driven people can stumble into if they're not paying attention. Stick with me, because today, we're diving deep into the 10 habits you absolutely need to avoid if you want to live a life that's not just good, but extraordinary. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss a single word of this, because these ideas, they could change everything. Now, I'm not here to lecture you or throw a bunch of complicated philosophy at you like some dusty textbook. Nope, we're keeping this real, like a conversation you'd have with a friend over coffee. I'm going to share some timeless wisdom, inspired by the Stoics, those ancient thinkers who, let's be honest, had life figured out in ways we're still catching up to. They believed that living well is about focus, intention, and cutting through the noise of the world. It's about knowing what to chase and, just as importantly, what to leave behind. And when you hear what intelligent, thriving people consciously steer clear of, it's like a light bulb goes off. You start to see a path, one that's uniquely yours, free from the clutter and distractions that hold so many of us back. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're standing at a crossroads. One path is crowded, full of people rushing around, chasing trends, getting caught up in drama, or just drifting. It's noisy, chaotic, and honestly, it's exhausting just looking at it. The other path. It's quieter, clearer. It's not empty, but the people on it, they're moving with purpose. They're not perfect, but they're intentional. They've learned to sidestep the pitfalls that trip up most folks, and because of that, they're living lives that feel rich, connected, and deeply satisfying. That second path. That's where we're headed today. I remember a time when I felt stuck, like I was spinning my wheels. I had big dreams, but something was holding me back. It wasn't until I started looking at my habits, the little things I was doing without even thinking, that I realized I was my own roadblock. I was wasting time on stuff that didn't matter, letting other people's opinions steer my choices, or avoiding tough truths because they felt uncomfortable. Sound familiar? We've all been there. But here's the good news. You can change that. You can choose to avoid the habits that keep you stuck and start building a life that feels like it's truly yours. The Stoics had this saying that I love, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's what this is all about. It's about taking control of what you let into your life, what you spend your energy on, and what you choose to walk away from. Intelligent people, the ones who seem to thrive no matter what life throws at them, they've mastered this. They don't just react to the world, they shape it by being deliberate about their choices. And the best part? You don't have to be a genius to do this. You just need to be aware, and you need to start small. So, let's jump in with the first habit to avoid. We're going to explore what intelligent people steer clear of, why it matters, and how you can start applying these ideas to your own life. It's not about overnight transformation. It's about taking one step at a time toward a life that feels more like you. Ready? Let's go. Wasting time on empty chatter. Picture this. You're at a party, maybe a crowded house with music humming in the background, or perhaps you're at a cozy coffee shop, the smell of espresso in the air. The conversation around you starts up, but, well, let's be honest, it's going absolutely nowhere. Someone's droning on about whether it'll rain this afternoon, another person's ranting about the show they binge-watched last weekend, and, oh, here it comes, the inevitable gossip about someone you barely know, like who they're dating or what they posted online. Sound familiar? We've all been there, trapped in those shallow, meaningless exchanges that leave you feeling empty, like you just wasted a chunk of your life you'll never get back. Intelligent people, they don't do that. They know time is their most precious resource, and they're not about to squander it on small talk that doesn't matter. See, the Stoics, those ancient philosophers who had a knack for cutting through life's noise, had this idea that every moment counts. They'd look at you and say, why fill your life with meaningless chatter when you could fill it with meaning? Smart folks take that to heart. They're not interested in getting sucked into pointless conversations that fizzle out without leaving a trace. Instead, they seek out talks that light a spark, the kind that make your brain buzz with new ideas. Maybe they bring up a book that completely blew their mind, or they ask someone, "What's the biggest dream you're chasing right now?" Or they dive into a deep question like, "What's something you've learned recently that changed how you see the world?" Those kinds of conversations, they're like food for the soul. They leave you inspired, connected, maybe even a little wiser, like you've just shared a piece of something real. Let me tell you a quick story. I was at a work event once, and the table talk was stuck on the usual. Sports scores, weekend plans, you know the drill. I was zoning out, feeling my energy drain, when someone at the table, this quiet guy who didn't say much, suddenly asked, "What's one thing you'd do if you had no fear of failing?" The whole vibe shifted. People started sharing their real passions, starting a business, writing a novel, traveling the world. That one question turned a forgettable chat into something I still think about. That's what intelligent people do. They steer conversations toward meaning, because they know every interaction is a chance to learn, grow, or connect. But it's not just about feeling good in the moment. Avoiding meaningless talk is about protecting your mental energy. Think of your brain like a sponge. It soaks up whatever you expose it to. If you're filling it with gossip, trivial drama, or endless debates about the weather, there's less room for ideas that actually move you forward. It's like trying to store fine wine in a cup already full of soda. It just doesn't work. Intelligent people get that. They'd rather spend their time with people who challenge their thinking, who push them to dig deeper, who make them grow. They choose their social circles carefully, surrounding themselves with folks who spark curiosity or inspire action, not ones who drag them into the shallow end. And here's the best part. This is a choice you can make too. You don't have to be stuck in dull conversations that leave you drained. Next time you're caught in one, try steering it somewhere real. Ask a question that matters, like, "What's something you're really excited about right now?" Or, "What's a lesson life's taught you lately?" You'd be amazed at how it changes the vibe, how people light up when you give them a chance to share something deeper. It's like flipping a switch from autopilot to alive. Speaking of protecting your mind, that brings us to the next habit intelligent people avoid, one that's all about what you let into your head. Staying comfortably ignorant. All right, let's get real for a second. We live in a world that's absolutely bursting with information. New ideas, groundbreaking discoveries, fresh perspectives, they're all out there, swirling around, waiting for you to grab them. It's like standing in the middle of a massive library where every book holds something new to teach you. But here's the trap, and it's a sneaky one. It's so easy to stick to what's familiar, to cozy up with the voices that already agree with you, to sidestep anything that feels, well, uncomfortable. It's tempting to stay in that safe little bubble where everything makes sense and nothing challenges you. Intelligent people, they don't fall for that. They know that choosing ignorance, hugging that cozy bubble tight, limits your growth and cuts you off from the truth, like locking yourself in a room with no windows. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who were all about living wisely, were obsessed with truth. They'd look you in the eye and say, "Wisdom comes from facing the world as it really is, not as you wish it was." Smart people live by that principle. They're curious, almost relentlessly so, like explorers charting unknown lands. They're not afraid to dive headfirst into topics they don't understand, even if it means admitting, "Hey, I'm totally clueless here." Maybe they pick up a book on quantum physics when they've never studied science, or they sit down with someone whose worldview is the complete opposite of theirs. They're not out to prove they're right or win an argument. They're on a mission to get closer to what's real, to uncover the raw, unfiltered truth, no matter how messy or inconvenient it might be. Let me tell you a quick story to bring this home. I once knew someone who was super set in their ways politically. They had their go-to news channel, their curated social media feed, and they followed only people who echoed their views, like they'd built a fortress around their beliefs. But then something shifted. They decided to challenge themselves. They started reading articles from the other side, even ones that made them roll their eyes at first. They had coffee with a coworker who thought differently, and instead of debating, they just listened. And you know what? They didn't flip their beliefs overnight. Nobody's saying that, but they came away with a broader perspective. They started noticing nuances they'd missed before, like cracks of light breaking through their fortress walls. That's what intelligent people do. They embrace the unknown, because they know that's where real growth happens, where the world opens up in ways you never imagined. And here's why this matters. Ignorance isn't just a personal loss, like missing out on a good book. In our connected world, it's bigger than that. Staying in your bubble can lead to bad decisions, misunderstandings, even harm to others. Think about it. When you don't understand someone else's perspective, it's easy to judge, to dismiss, to make choices that ripple out in ways you didn't intend. By staying open, by seeking out diverse ideas, you make better choices. You start to see the world through other people's eyes, which makes you more empathetic, more aware, more human. It's like upgrading your mind's operating system to handle life's complexities with grace. Let me share another example. I had a friend who avoided anything to do with economics, said it was boring, too complicated. But then they started a small business, and suddenly, understanding markets mattered. Instead of shrugging it off, they dove in, read books, watched videos, asked experts. It was uncomfortable at first, but that effort paid off. They didn't just save their business, they found a new passion. That's the power of leaning into what you don't know. So, next time you're tempted to skip that article, dodge that tough conversation, or dismiss an idea because it feels foreign, pause. Ask yourself, what could I learn if I lean into this? You might be surprised at what you discover. Maybe a new passion, a better way to think, or just a little more truth to light your way. Now, while we're talking about standing out, let's move to the next habit, one that's all about daring to be yourself. Following the crowd. Okay, let's talk about something we've all felt at some point, the pressure to fit in. You know exactly what I mean, those moments when you're tempted to dress a certain way, think a certain way, act a certain way, just because everyone else is doing it. It's like society's holding this invisible rulebook, and if you don't follow it, you're out, left standing on the sidelines. Maybe it's wearing the latest trendy sneakers even though they're not your style, or nodding along with a popular opinion you don't really buy into, or even choosing a career path because it's what everyone expects. That pressure, it's real, and it can feel like a tidal wave. But here's the deal, intelligent people don't play that game. They avoid conforming just for the sake of blending in, because they know that true brilliance, true fulfillment, comes from thinking for yourself. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who were all about living with purpose, were huge on this idea. They'd look you square in the eye and say, stay true to who you are, even if it makes you stand out like a sore thumb. And that's exactly what smart people do. They don't just swallow the status quo whole. They question it, poke at it, turn it over in their minds. They don't accept things just because that's how it's always been, or because everyone else is on board. Whether it's a trendy opinion sweeping social media or a so-called normal way of living that everyone seems to follow, they dig deeper. They ask, is this rational? Does it align with my values? Is it actually good for me or the world? If the answer's no, they're not afraid to go their own way, even if it raises a few eyebrows or gets them some side eye. Think about someone like Socrates back in ancient Greece. This guy was the ultimate nonconformist. He wandered around Athens challenging everyone's assumptions, asking hard questions, refusing to just go along with the crowd. He'd stop people in the marketplace and say, why do you believe that? What's the reasoning behind it? And yeah, it made him unpopular with some folks, powerful folks even, but it also made him one of the greatest thinkers in history. His willingness to stand apart, to think independently, sparked ideas that we're still wrestling with today. Intelligent people today follow in those footsteps, just in their own way. Maybe they start a business that breaks all the conventional rules, like selling eco-friendly products in a world obsessed with fast fashion. Or maybe they choose a lifestyle that doesn't fit the mold, like living off-grid or prioritizing experiences over a big paycheck. They know that conformity can kill creativity, stifle innovation, and worst of all, make you lose touch with who you really are. Let me share a quick story. I knew someone who felt trapped in their corporate job. Everyone around them was climbing the ladder, chasing promotions, buying into the "this is success" narrative. But deep down, they wanted to create art. They felt this pull to paint, to tell stories through color and canvas. The pressure to conform was heavy. Friends, family, even co-workers kept saying, why risk it? Stick with the safe path. But they took a leap. They started small, painting on weekends, sharing their work online. Over time, they built a following, left the corporate world, and now they're living a life that's theirs, not someone else's. That's what happens when you dare to be authentic. You unlock a kind of freedom that conformity can never offer. Here's a little challenge for you. Next time you feel that urge to follow the crowd, whether it's buying into a trend or staying quiet to avoid rocking the boat, stop and ask yourself, is this really me? Or am I just doing this to fit in? It's not about being a rebel for the sake of it, it's about being true to your core. Because when you live by your own values, you create a life that's not just successful by society's standards, but deeply fulfilling on your terms. And honestly, isn't that what we're all after? Speaking of staying true to yourself, let's talk about the next habit to avoid, one that's all about keeping your cool when things get personal. Taking things personally. Alright, imagine this. You're sharing a piece of work you poured your heart into, maybe a presentation at work or a creative project you've been tinkering with for weeks. Then, out of nowhere, someone criticizes it. Maybe they say it's not quite there, or make a snarky comment about something you said in passing. Ouch. Your first instinct. You feel that sting, right? It's like a punch to the gut, and suddenly you're defensive, maybe even a little hurt, wondering if you're not good enough. We've all been there, caught in that moment where someone's words hit harder than they should. But intelligent people, they've got a superpower. They don't take things personally. They know that most of the time, it's not really about them. It's about the other person's perspective, their mood, their baggage. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who knew a thing or two about staying grounded, absolutely nailed this one. They'd sit you down and say, you can't control what others say or do, but you can control how you respond. And that's the key, the golden nugget of wisdom right there. Smart people get that someone's harsh words or actions usually reflect their own issues, not your worth as a person. Maybe your boss snaps at you because they're stressed about a deadline, or a friend makes a cutting jab because they're wrestling with their own insecurities. By seeing it for what it is, just a moment in someone else's story, you free yourself from that emotional roller coaster that can leave you dizzy and drained. Let me share a quick example to bring this to life. I had a friend who was working on a big design project, something they'd spent weeks perfecting. They showed it to their team, and one colleague gave some tough feedback, saying it missed the mark. Instead of getting upset or spiraling into self-doubt, my friend took a deep breath and asked, "Okay, what can I learn from this?" They realized the critique wasn't a personal attack. It was just one person's opinion, shaped by their own perspective, and there was actually some valuable advice buried in there. That mindset let them tweak their work, make it even better, and keep their confidence intact. That's what intelligent people do. They stay calm, they think clearly, and they keep their peace, no matter how sharp the words might feel. And here's why this matters. It's not just about dodging hurt feelings. When you stop taking things personally, you open the door to better relationships, ones built on understanding instead of knee-jerk reactions. You can listen to criticism without shutting down or building walls. You can have tough conversations without getting defensive, because you're not tying your worth to every word someone says. It's like putting on emotional armor. You're still in the game, fully engaged, but you're not getting knocked out by every hit. You're steady, ready to learn, ready to connect. Let me tell you another story. I once worked with someone who got a snarky email from a client, something about how their work wasn't up to standard. The old me might have taken it to heart, maybe even fired back a heated reply. But this person, they read it, set it aside for a moment, and then responded with a calm, "Thanks for the feedback. Can you clarify what you'd like to see?" Turns out, the client was just having a bad day, and their tone had nothing to do with the work itself. That simple choice, not taking it personally, turned a potential conflict into a productive conversation. This approach also makes you a better listener. When you're not caught up in feeling attacked, you can hear what's really being said, maybe even pick up on someone's unspoken struggles. The Stoics would call this focusing on what's in your control, your response, your mindset, and letting go of what's not, like someone else's bad mood. So, next time someone's words sting, remind yourself it's not all about you. Take a moment, focus on what you can control, and let the rest slide. You'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel, how much clearer your mind becomes. Now, let's shift gears to a habit that's all about tackling life's challenges the smart way. Getting stuck on problems. Life's messy, isn't it? No matter who you are, whether you're a student, a parent, a CEO, or just trying to figure it all out, problems are going to show up. Big ones that shake your world, small ones that nag at you, and those infuriating ones that make you want to pull your hair out and scream into a pillow. It's just part of the deal. But here's what separates the people who thrive from those who just survive. It's all about how they handle those problems. Intelligent people don't let setbacks define them or drag them down into a pit of despair. They avoid getting bogged down by obstacles, and instead, they see them as chances to grow, like hidden doors leading to something better. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who seem to have a cheat code for life, had a saying that I absolutely love: what stands in the way becomes the way. Think about that for a second. Every challenge, every roadblock, is a stepping stone if you approach it with the right mindset. It's not just about getting past the problem, it's about using it to build something stronger in yourself. Smart people live by this. When a problem pops up, they don't panic, throw their hands up in frustration, or wallow in, "Why me?" They take a step back, look at it from all angles, and start asking, "What can I do about this?" It's like they're detectives, piecing together clues, combing through the evidence to find a solution that works. Let me paint a picture to bring this to life. Say you're working on a big project. Maybe it's a work presentation, a creative endeavor, or even planning a family event. You've poured your heart into it, but it's just not coming together. Deadlines are looming, pieces are falling apart, and it feels like the universe is conspiring against you. An intelligent person doesn't sit there stressing, spiraling into a frenzy of worry. They zoom out. They break the problem into smaller, bite-sized parts. Maybe the data isn't clear, or the design needs tweaking, or they're missing a key resource. Then they get curious. They might talk to a colleague for a fresh perspective, dive into some research to spark new ideas, or even step away for a bit to let their brain breathe. They're not afraid to admit when they're stuck, because they know that's the first step to moving forward, like acknowledging you're lost before you can find your way. And here's the beautiful part. This approach doesn't just solve the problem, it makes you stronger. Every challenge you face teaches you something, whether it's patience when things don't go as planned, creativity when you have to think outside the box, or resilience when you keep going despite the odds. The Stoics believed that obstacles are like a gym for your character. Each one builds you up, sculpting your mind and spirit if you let it. Think about a time you faced a tough situation. Maybe it was a work crisis, a personal conflict, or even a flat tire on a bad day. When you pushed through, didn't you come out a little tougher, a little wiser? That's the magic of seeing problems as opportunities. Let me share a quick story. I knew someone who was launching a small business, and right before their big opening, their supplier bailed. Disaster, right? Instead of freaking out, they took a deep breath and got to work. They called other suppliers, negotiated new deals, and even found a better option that saved them money in the long run. That setback, it didn't just get fixed, it made their business stronger and taught them how to think on their feet. That's what intelligent people do. They turn stumbling blocks into stepping stones. So, next time you hit a roadblock, don't dwell on how unfair it is or let it consume you. Ask yourself, what's the opportunity here? What can I learn, or how can I grow? That shift in mindset. It's a game changer, like flipping a switch from victim to victor. You start seeing life's messes as chances to build something new. Speaking of learning, let's talk about the next habit, one that's all about welcoming the stuff most people run from. Shying away from feedback. Nobody relishes criticism. When someone highlights a flaw in your work or suggests improvement, it's natural to feel defensive, as if your efforts are under attack. Yet, intelligent individuals stand out by embracing feedback rather than dodging it. They recognize that avoiding criticism means missing a golden opportunity for growth. For them, ego takes a back seat to the pursuit of excellence. The Stoics, ancient philosophers obsessed with self-improvement, viewed feedback as a gift. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic teacher, advised thanking those who correct you, as they reveal your shortcomings. Intelligent people embody this wisdom. They don't shy away from hard truths. Instead, they see criticism as a roadmap to betterment. They listen intently, process the input, and use it to refine their skills or character. This openness isn't just about professional growth, it's a way of life. I witnessed this principle in action with a colleague who delivered a presentation. During the Q&A, an audience member offered blunt, almost harsh feedback about the delivery and content. Instead of bristling or dismissing the critique, my colleague leaned in. They asked clarifying questions, took notes, and thanked the critic sincerely. Weeks later, their next presentation was a masterclass, clearer, more engaging, and polished. That transformation wasn't accidental. It stemmed from their willingness to treat feedback as a tool for growth, no matter how uncomfortable it felt in the moment. Embracing criticism does more than sharpen your skills. It builds trust and strengthens relationships. When you show others you value their input, you foster deeper connections with colleagues, friends, or family. It signals that you're not just open to growth but also humble enough to admit you're not perfect. The Stoics prized humility as a cornerstone of a virtuous life, and for good reason. It keeps you grounded and open to learning. By contrast, deflecting feedback or reacting defensively can alienate others and stunt your progress. Of course, not all feedback is created equal. Intelligent people don't blindly accept every critique, they evaluate it critically. They ask themselves, is this valid? What can I learn from it? If the feedback is off base, they set it aside without resentment. But when it holds truth, they act on it, no matter how much it stings. This discernment is key to turning criticism into progress. Being open to feedback also sets you apart in a world where many cling to comfort zones. It's easy to surround yourself with yes men or tune out dissenting voices, but that's a recipe for stagnation. Growth demands discomfort, and criticism is often the spark that ignites it. So, the next time someone offers feedback, resist the urge to shut down. Listen, reflect, and ask, what can I take from this? You might unlock a new level of skill, insight, or resilience. This mindset, welcoming feedback while keeping emotions in check, leads us to another challenge: mastering our emotional responses. Letting feelings run the show can cloud judgment and derail progress, but that's a topic for another day. Letting emotions call the shots. We've all been there. Emotions flare, and suddenly, we're not ourselves. Maybe anger pushes you to snap at someone, or stress leads to a hasty decision that unravels later. It's human. But intelligent people stand out because they actively work to keep their emotions from hijacking their judgment. They understand that feelings are powerful, but they don't have to steer the ship. The Stoics nailed this concept with their dichotomy of control. They taught that you should focus on what's in your power, your thoughts, actions, and responses, and release what isn't, like external events or others' opinions. Smart people apply this to their emotional world. They feel the same anger, sadness, or fear as anyone else, but they refuse to let those emotions dictate their moves. Instead, they pause, breathe, and create space to think rationally, ensuring their choices align with their goals, not their fleeting moods. I saw this in action with a friend who got into a heated argument. They were livid, fingers hovering over their phone, ready to send a message that would have torched a long-time friendship. But instead of hitting send, they stepped back. They grabbed a notebook, scribbled their thoughts, and let the anger simmer down. A day later, they revisited the situation with a clear head and realized the fight wasn't worth losing a friend. That's emotional discipline, feeling the intensity but choosing how to respond. It's not about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them. The rewards of this habit are immense. When you keep emotions in check, you make sharper decisions. You sidestep regrets, like harsh words you can't take back or impulsive moves that cost you later. You navigate conflicts with grace, preserving relationships instead of burning bridges. And you stay focused on what truly matters, whether it's a work project or a personal goal. The Stoics called this living rationally, and intelligent people make it a cornerstone of their lives. It's not about being cold or detached, it's about ensuring your actions reflect your best self, not your rawest emotions. Building this skill takes practice. The next time you feel your emotions bubbling, whether it's frustration in a meeting or anxiety before a big decision, try a simple trick: pause and breathe deeply for a few seconds. If you can, jot down what you're feeling. Writing it out can diffuse the intensity and give you perspective. It's like hitting a reset button on your brain, clearing the fog so you can act with intention. Over time, these small moments of discipline add up, shaping you into someone who thrives under pressure. This ability to stay composed sets the stage for another key habit: being deliberate about what you consume. Just as emotions can cloud your mind, so can the information and influences you let in. Let's explore how intelligent people navigate that next. Mindless media scrolling. We've all fallen into the trap. You pick up your phone for a quick check, and suddenly, an hour's gone, lost to a blur of social media posts, viral videos, or random headlines. 1 minute you're glancing at a friend's update, the next you're deep into a rabbit hole of cat videos or heated comment threads. Intelligent people steer clear of this mindless media scrolling. They're deliberate about what they let into their minds, knowing that unchecked consumption can subtly shape their thoughts, emotions, and even their worldview. The Stoics would have championed this approach. They believed in guarding the mind against distractions and focusing on what aligns with a virtuous, purposeful life. Smart people embody this by curating their media intake with intention. They don't swear off entertainment, they just prioritize substance over fluff. Instead of drowning in clickbait or endless social media feeds, they gravitate toward content that enriches. Books that challenge assumptions, podcasts that spark fresh ideas, or documentaries that broaden their horizons. It's not about being pretentious, it's about recognizing that time is finite, and what you feed your brain matters. I saw this shift in a friend who used to burn hours every night scrolling through social media. They'd end up drained, anxious, and vaguely dissatisfied. Then they decided to change. They set a strict 20-minute daily limit for social media and redirected their evenings to reading thought-provoking books or listening to insightful podcasts. Within weeks, they noticed a difference. Their mind felt clearer, their mood lifted, and they started bringing more depth to conversations. By swapping mindless scrolling for meaningful content, they didn't just reclaim time, they reclaimed mental energy. The stakes go beyond wasted hours. Mindless media consumption can skew your perspective. Algorithms often feed you one-sided news, sensational headlines, or echo chambers that reinforce biases. If you're not careful, you're not just consuming, you're being shaped. Intelligent people counter this by seeking diverse sources, questioning what they encounter, and thinking critically about the information they absorb. They don't just swallow content whole, they analyze it, cross-check it, and use it to build a more nuanced understanding of the world. They're not passive consumers, they're active explorers. You can start small to build this habit. Next time you reach for your phone to scroll, set a timer for 10 or 15 minutes to keep yourself in check. Better yet, swap some of that time for something that feeds your mind, a chapter from a book, a podcast episode, or even a long-form article. If social media is a must, follow accounts that inspire or educate rather than agitate. Over time, these choices compound, sharpening your thinking and grounding your perspective. This intentional approach to media sets the stage for a broader habit, a commitment to lifelong growth. By staying curious and selective, intelligent people ensure they're always evolving, never settling for stagnation. Let's explore how they make that a reality. Neglecting personal growth. Life moves fast, doesn't it? Work demands your energy, family needs your time, and 1,000 small tasks pile up, threatening to bury you. It's tempting to put yourself last, to let personal growth slide while you handle more pressing matters. But intelligent people know better. They understand that neglecting self-improvement isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a recipe for stagnation. Investing in personal growth isn't a luxury. It's the foundation for becoming the best version of yourself, no matter how chaotic life gets. The Stoics nailed this idea centuries ago. They saw life as a relentless pursuit of virtue, wisdom, and resilience. To them, growth wasn't a checkbox to tick off but a daily practice of aligning with your highest potential. Smart people live by this principle. They carve out time to sharpen their minds, strengthen their bodies, and nurture their relationships. Maybe it's taking a course to master a new skill, practicing mindfulness to boost emotional intelligence, or creating a budget to secure financial freedom. The point isn't perfection, it's progress. Small, intentional steps compound over time, transforming not just one area of life but the whole picture. Let me tell you about a friend who embodied this. She was stuck in a dead-end job, feeling like her days were on autopilot. Frustration could have won, but instead, she chose growth. She started reading books on leadership, enrolled in an online course, and sought out a mentor. It wasn't easy, she had to juggle long work hours and family responsibilities, but she stuck with it. Within a year, she landed a promotion. More than that, she glowed with confidence and purpose, her growth rippling into her relationships and health. That's the power of prioritizing yourself. It doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes you. Why does this matter? Because personal growth is your armor against a world that never stops changing. New technologies, shifting economies, unexpected challenges. If you're not evolving, you're falling behind. Adaptability is survival, but it's also deeply satisfying. There's a unique thrill in conquering a skill you once struggled with, whether it's public speaking, coding, or even cooking a decent meal. The Stoics would say this is what it means to live well, to lean into challenges and emerge stronger. Intelligent people make this a habit, weaving growth into their daily lives like a thread that strengthens everything it touches. So, what's one small thing you can do today to grow? It could be reading a chapter of a thought-provoking book, trying a 10-minute meditation, or setting a fitness goal. Don't overthink it. Start tiny. A single step can spark a chain reaction, snowballing into a life of greater purpose and resilience. As you build this habit, you're not just keeping up with the world, you're shaping it, one deliberate choice at a time. And speaking of choices, let's close with a habit that's all about navigating a risky world with clarity and wisdom. Making decisions rooted in awareness and intention. Taking reckless risks. Life is a minefield of risks. From launching a new career to relocating to an unfamiliar city or even voicing an opinion in a high-stakes meeting, every choice carries the potential for things to go sideways. Intelligent people don't dodge risks, they embrace them when the moment calls for it. But they're not reckless. They avoid gambles that could jeopardize their goals or harm those around them. Their secret? They blend boldness with strategy, taking calculated leaps that propel them forward without inviting chaos. The Stoics were masters of this mindset. They championed acting with reason, urging us to weigh the consequences of our decisions carefully. To them, every choice was an opportunity to align with virtue and wisdom. Smart people embody this philosophy. Before diving into the unknown, they do their due diligence. They research thoroughly, ask probing questions, and seek advice from those who've walked the path before. They're not swayed by impulse, they're guided by logic. And they always have a plan B, because they know life can throw curveballs no matter how well you prepare. Take starting a business as an example. Imagine someone itching to leave their 9 to 5 to chase an entrepreneurial dream. A reckless person might quit on a whim, banking on luck to carry them through. An intelligent person, though, plays it smarter. They save a financial cushion, test their idea through a side hustle, and network with seasoned entrepreneurs to glean insights. They're not paralyzed by fear of failure, but they're not betting the farm on a half-baked plan either. This balance, courage tempered by caution, is what makes their risks smart and sets them up for success. This approach isn't just about avoiding catastrophe, it's about unlocking your full potential. Thoughtful risk-taking opens doors to opportunities that staying in your comfort zone never could. A well-calculated risk might lead to a dream job, a thriving business, or a deeper relationship. Reckless risks, on the other hand, can spiral into setbacks, financial strain, emotional stress, or unintended harm to loved ones. The Stoics would argue that smart risk-taking is about more than personal gain. It's about living responsibly, honoring your duties to yourself and your community. It's about making choices that reflect both ambition and integrity. So, how do you put this into practice? The next time you face a big decision, pause and think it through. Ask yourself, what's the potential upside? What could go wrong, and how can I prepare for it? What's the smartest way to move forward? Maybe it's researching a new investment, talking to a mentor before a career switch, or practicing a tough conversation to get it right. By approaching risks with clarity and preparation, you're not just protecting yourself, you're setting the stage for growth and opportunity. In a world full of uncertainties, that's how intelligent people thrive. Your path to purpose. That's the blueprint. 10 habits intelligent people steer clear of to craft a life that's not just successful, but deeply purposeful. From sidestepping mindless gossip to welcoming constructive feedback, from nurturing curiosity to mastering smart risk-taking, these choices form a roadmap to a richer, more meaningful existence. The beauty of it? You don't need to be a prodigy to get started. All it takes is intention, a commitment to make deliberate choices that align with who you want to become. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers of wisdom, believed that a good life hinges on focusing on what truly matters, cutting through the clutter of distractions and staying anchored to your core values. Intelligent people live this philosophy daily. They don't waste energy on petty arguments or fleeting trends. Instead, they invest in habits that build resilience, deepen relationships, and spark growth. They ask questions, listen intently, and embrace challenges as opportunities to evolve. And the best part? Anyone can adopt this mindset. You don't need a grand overhaul, just one small, purposeful step at a time. So, where do you begin? Pick one habit from this list to focus on this week. Maybe it's swapping shallow small talk for a meaningful conversation with a friend. Perhaps it's pausing to hear feedback without bristling, letting it guide your growth. Or try setting a timer to limit social media, freeing up space for a book or a walk that feeds your mind. Each choice, no matter how small, is a brick in the foundation of a life well lived. The Stoics would say it's about progress, not perfection. Every habit you avoid or embrace nudges you closer to your potential. This isn't just about personal gain, it's about crafting a life that resonates with purpose. When you avoid the traps of complacency, negativity, or impulsiveness, you create ripple effects. Your clarity inspires others. Your curiosity sparks better ideas. Your discipline builds trust. Intelligent people know that living intentionally isn't selfish, it's a gift to the world around them. By focusing on what's within their control, as the Stoics advised, they shape a life that's not only fulfilling but also impactful. If these ideas resonate, I invite you to stick around. Hit that subscribe button, and let's keep diving into how to live with greater wisdom, purpose, and joy. There's so much more to explore: practical tips, inspiring stories, and timeless insights to help you navigate life's complexities. What's one thing you can do today to make your life a little more meaningful? Maybe it's reflecting on a goal, reaching out to someone you admire, or simply pausing to appreciate where you are. Whatever it is, take that step. I'm excited to share this journey with you, and I'll see you soon with more ways to live a life that truly matters.